We all say and admit that African leaders are all inherently corrupt. Now, this is especially true for the case of Nigeria, where the resources and minerals they are supposed to be for the people and to build society is used or reserved exclusively for the rich. All of this is a true statement, but what if this word corruption is not the right word to use to describe what is happening today in Africa and Nigeria in particular? Because if you come to think about it, this word corruption is actually a westernized word. It is a word they use in Western society to describe government friction. We witnessed this year where Donald Trump will do insider trading, and these are all from US verified newspapers, whereby Donald Trump announced that he's going to lift sanctions for Nvidia chips from to China. Now, before making this announcement, he and his friends they all bought Nvidia chips beforehand, knowing that everything is going to boom. Not only for Nvidia chips, also for cryptocurrency terms as well. Not only cryptocurrency as well, you also have other nations. In fact, in America as well, corruption is almost established. So the corruption we witness, we claim that is happening here in Africa, worse is happening in the West. But even though, in fact, not just the Western countries, every country, even China, every year you hear about China executing high profile officials for state corruption. So corruption is a general thing. Now, this is the problem. If you say we are poor or we are below the poverty line, or we say our underdevelopment or whatever misery we have to face today in Africa, especially our electricity, if you say this is because of corruption, then it fails to explain why is it that other nations, in fact, Nigerian police cannot even do what American police is doing. American police are more corrupt. We have seen the clips online, judiciary wise. In fact, America, the corporations literally decide everything. So, and this has been happening for decades to come now. Despite all of this, why is it that these European countries seems to be thriving despite the corruption happening there? Even in Europe as a whole, Great Britain, corruption is much there. The stories are online, but why is it that despite this, they seem to be thriving? Why over here we seem to just be stagnant? If anything, we are regressing. One, now this is why we can't continue to use that word corruption, because when you use corruption to describe what is happening here in Africa, it breaks down. And not only that it breaks down, you're actually giving the people who are doing this systematic plunder a cover. They are covering that crime for them because they're using sweet words to wrap up whatever they're doing. Look at the case of Gaza, whereby they're using, if they kill a baby of like 3 years old, they would say a teenage boy, a teenage girl, whereby they are still using the word teenage boy, teenage girl to mask the fact that innocent babies are being slaughtered. So you see the danger of using certain words to describe certain crimes happening in Africa. That goes for the world corruption, because look at the statistics now. When you steal like $10 million in America, what do you do with the money? The money is still kept in American banks, or it is used to build a project in America. The Elon Musk built SpaceX. Even John D. Rockefeller, this one did not make this money from their own pocket. They had state funding. Billions of dollars was allocated to them by the state. Donald Trump built his real estate, not from his own pocket as well. So you get that there is a lot of looting going on in America. Even almost official established government looting happening in America. The key difference here that in Africa here, we can't seem to use that word looting and corruption to describe it, because if you still in America, you're probably using the money to build a real estate company there. That real estate company there is going to probably build homes, though it will be expensive, but it will still be available. And not only homes, you are building factories, you are building industries that people are going to be employed into, like JP Morgan banks, Chase Bank, Amazon as well. Amazon is not a cent, obviously, but Amazon is employing thousands of Americans today. You have several American companies, but look at what we have here in Africa today. We have a politician. The money you're supposed to use to give light to your people, you divert the fund, package it well, and the money is being sent outside the country to buy a real estate in US or UK or Dubai. Now, what difference is this from when the colonial masters were in Nigeria, whereby they took our cocoa, our raw minerals, and just took it outside the country to sell in the global market. And when they sell it off, the money is used to buy or establish real estate in their own continent. This is when things are being taken out of the continent and used for the betterment of another continent. That is exactly what our leaders here are doing. That is why I insist that we cannot continue to describe it using that word corruption, because what is happening is not corruption, it is actually plunder. Things are being taken out consistently. You hear about Tinubu building his wife or daughters and okay, Wike's children buying houses in UK. What millions of dollars in Nigeria? Millions of dollars. They take the money to Nigeria to go buy houses in the UK. Now, what if that millions of dollars were used to establish farms in River State? Farm, or they are used. It is still going to be in their name, obviously, but Nigerians will be employed there. Nigerians will pay salary there. They will have to hire cooks. They will have to hire chefs. The money is going to pay tax. The industry is going to pay tax to the state. So imagine that you have 50 politicians who have stolen. We have more than thousands of our politicians who are stealing. But let's say you have only 50 in each state of the federation. They are building like 2 industries each in the state from stolen wealth. Yet it's going to enrich their family, obviously. But at the same time, you are going to have industries in this state of the federation that will employ the Nigerian youth, put them, take them off the streets and put them somewhere to work so that they can make livelihood for their children. Not only that, imagine that a private individual decide to give Nigeria light, whereby we have light 247. We may pay a little bit more expensive for it, but it will always be guaranteed for us. This will help other local industries to still grow as well. So you see that if the wealth continues to stay in the continent, it will be used to build the continent. But it is always designed in the sense that the only time the wealth stays in the continent is when they are building a state in Lagos. They are going to Sanfield, Echo Atlantic, and to build a state in Lagos or Abuja. And this estate they build, the poor never gets a chance to even stay there. Only the rich. Apart from the estates, they are buying luxury cars. You see Burna Boy buying a $6 million car. I'm not saying Burna Boy is corrupt, obviously, but I'm giving an example for where our resources have been extracted, taken out of the states to buy European luxuries. So this is exactly how it was operating before during the colonial era. Because the colonial era, they had cocoa, they had granite, they had some crude oil. They will take it, ship it, put it in Lagos port, and take it to overseas. They sell it off in the market and take the money to build Western capitals. This was what was happening. Now, after independence, our elites now, all of a sudden now, they no longer steal to build for their community. We hear that Buhari took several trillions, printed it, and took it from the national treasury. We hear about the billions, but you go to Katsina State. Now, Katsina State is now one of the most terrorized states in the country. That is why the tribal argument does not make any sense. Because they tell that, okay, Tinubu will favor Yoruba, or Peter B will favor the Igbo, or Buhari will favor North. No, they don't favor any region. What they favor is America and UK. All of those wealth are taken there. The same pattern where the colonial masters came and took wealth out of the country. The same pattern we're witnessing. And now these people who are doing the stealing may not know that they are literally extracting African wealth and taking it overseas. The houses in London may be in their name, but obviously the state can obviously say this house belongs to us. And even if it's in their name, the house is still paying tax to the government. Monthly even, for maintenance and everything. In fact, they will pay more. So you can see that the system is rigged in the sense that if you are coming in to steal, so you can just come into Nigeria and say you want to steal and you are stealing for your own benefit. No. The system is rigged in the sense that if you are coming to steal, it's money for the benefit of the West. If your stealing does not favor the West, you may be removed. So you may be corrupt and still not be given a chance to come to power because you know that you're going to steal, but the stealing is going to stay in Nigeria or any African state. This is why when you use the word corruption to describe what's happening in Africa today, it breaks down because it does not account for the fact that there's no way that over the past 70 years, somebody taking millions of dollars, people are taking billions, stealing from the Nigerian treasury. Yet In each state of the federation, there's no local government that can boast of any genuine industry. 777 local governments in Nigeria, they cannot boast of any genuine industry. Yet, there's no local government that does not have somebody who is worth over $1 million in Nigeria here. That is for free. So why are people not taking that stolen wealth? That stealing is good. I'm not arguing for the case that people should be stealing, but I'm saying that if this theft happens overseas, the money usually stays there to build industries. Rockefeller, people that built America, John D. Rockefeller and then Andrew Carnegie, they all were not saints that worked hard for their money. There's a lot of looting, government bailouts involved, but everything stayed in America. All of this happened in every state. China, these Chinese billionaires are seeing, they are not getting all those money for these businesses from the grant. The government pours in, even at the expense of the people sometimes. And many times, even the real estate sector, the government gave them 4 trillion yuan, but the money stayed in China. To build, imagine that 4 trillion yuan was taken out of China. Do you know what that means for the economy? So the problem with us over here is that the money is being, every resource is being taken out, not staying in the continent. So it is plunder. It was the colonial era plunder that was happening, that is still happening today. So we cannot use that word corruption to describe it. So thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. Bye.